Hey everyone, Ryan here at Etrailer. Today on our 2024 Subaru Crosstrek, we're going to be showing you how to install the CURT Custom Fit vehicle wiring harness. Before we do that though, let's take a minute, check it out, and make sure it's going to work for you. So people do a lot of different things with these Subarus, and that does include pulling some trailers around. And if that's what you plan on doing, you're going to need a way to power up the lights on your trailer. That way you're not only safe, but legal as well. And that's where a kit like this is going to come into play. And one of the things that I like how it's set up on our Crosstrek is that it's going to actually be stored on the inside of the vehicle, which is convenient because on this particular vehicle, underneath of it, right next to our hitch, the exhaust is there and can potentially get hot. So keeping it up here is a good idea, at least in my opinion. But open that up, and then here's your wiring. And the length is more than sufficient. Honestly, you don't even need this much, but I'd rather it be there and not use it than the other way around. But the way this will work here is you're just going to drape it over your threshold, make sure you avoid the latch, and then close the hatch on it. It might seem kind of odd doing this, but it's how it's designed to work. You're not going to hurt the wiring, you're not going to hurt your vehicle or anything along those lines. And now we're going to have that four-way flat connection point that we need to hook up to our trailer. And this is a really common type of connector, especially for the types of trailers that the Crosstrek is likely to be pulling around. You're going to get your taillight signal, your turn signals, and your brake lights. And so all your bases are covered there. And not to mention too, nowadays light-up accessories are getting more and more popular. And almost all of them on the market are going to have this style of connector. So if you end up with something like that in the future, chances are really good this will be able to power those up as well. This is going to be compatible with the different types of submodels, really with one exception, and that is the hybrid Crosstreks. But the good news is if you do happen to have a hybrid, there's other kits available that are compatible with that vehicle. But as far as the other submodels, you're in good shape. Perfect example today, we have a Wilderness Edition, and this went in without any issues, really. To compare this wiring kit to the other one, it's a Takancha setup. Really don't have a preference, to be honest with you. They're both well built and got to get the job done. With the Takancha, it's a little bit easier to install, but not really a huge deal. You know, the CURT's going to require one or two more steps that are pretty simple, so can't really go wrong with either one. Speaking of the installation though, really not too bad. There's a factory connector that we utilize in the back. It plugs in. We ground one wire out with a screw and then kind of just secure everything. So really shouldn't give you too many issues, but if you're going to be doing this yourself, feel free to hang around. We'll go ahead and get started on it now. To begin our installation, we're going to be here at the back of our Subaru. You can open up your hatch, and we're going to need to locate a factory connector plug. It should be over here towards the back on the driver's side. And so we'll start by taking out any of the floor coverings inside of our vehicle here. So right now you are actually able to kind of reach up behind the threshold in this pocket here and feel the connector. So I suppose you could install this by just pulling that connector out and setting it up, but so we can actually see what we're doing and effectively demonstrate everything, we're going to remove a couple more things here. So we have this foam piece, and you can take a trim tool, and with these, if you just pry up on them, it seems like they tend to break. So what I've found over the years, if you put some downward pressure on it while you're prying up on this fastener, it tends to pull out without it breaking. So we have that one, and one more right here. We'll get this foam piece out of our way. We can get this threshold piece removed now, and so on each end of it, there's going to be a push pin fastener. You can take a trim tool or a flathead screwdriver, pry up on the head, and then pull the base out. And so I'll do the same thing to get the other one removed. With those out, you can now grab the corner of the threshold and just work your way across. We'll get this removed and set off to the side. Here's a better look at our connector. And right from the factory, they're usually taped up like this, and so I'm just going to very carefully cut that tape and free it. That way it's a little bit easier to work with. You can now grab your new trailer wiring, and the connector plug is going to line up with the factory one. So just plug those right in together. Then we're going to have this white wire with the pre-attached ring terminal. That's going to be a ground. And so we need to ground it out. And I'm probably going to go right there in that area. It's a good thick metal and it's clean. So that should provide us with a sufficient ground. And I'm just going to take the provided self-tapping screw and run it down. At this point, you want to take the included fuse and place that into the holder. And close up that dust cover on it. And then before we go any further, putting stuff away and kind of mounting everything up, I'm going to test our wiring. And I like to use a tester like this as opposed to plugging into our trailer. And I say that because if our trailer has any issues, it might mislead us into thinking it's something we did on the vehicle side. We'll try out our left turn signal, our right turn signal. We'll hit our brakes and turn on our running lights. Now we verified it works. We can secure our converter box. So they give you some two-sided sticky tape I put on the back of the box. Make sure all the surfaces are clean. You can use some rubbing alcohol and let it dry, which I've done. And I'm just going to, on the back side of this panel here, it's nice and flat and out of the way. I'm just going to push it back here and stick it in place. So I was able to kind of tuck our wiring in as well, and then just used a couple of the zip ties to tidy everything up. As far as routing your 4-way flat connector, you got a couple of options. You can simply just bundle it up and keep it stored here next to the spare tire, which is what I'm going to do, and honestly what I recommend with this vehicle. You are able to drop it outside of the vehicle and mount it up next to your hitch if you want. Underneath the spare tire, there's some a grommet that you can pop out and feed your wire through it and route it over there. But with that said, that grommet is essentially right on top of the exhaust system or really close to it. So if you end up doing that, be conscious of that and do your best to avoid any hot or moving parts in general when you're routing any type of wiring. But since we're keeping it inside, I'll just tuck this down in here for now and reinstall all of our panels the opposite way that we removed them. Once you get everything back together, we are all set. And with that done, that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the CURT Custom Fit vehicle wiring harness on our 2024 Subaru Crosstrek.